All right. So with all that we've learned up to now, we want to build two systems. First of all, we want to build a gradient system and then the ATM simulator, right? So let's so usually in programming to build something, don't just start writing code. Okay. The first thing you do is you have to plan and design what you're coming to do. You have to talk about what you want it to do for you. Okay. So you need to first design the whole thing. And then once you have the design of the whole thing, then you can go ahead and write your code. Mm. So the first thing I'm going to tackle here, we are going to do together is we are going to design, or we are going to talk about what we want this grading system to have. Because if you say grading system, there are a lot of things that can be added. But for us right now, this is what we want to do. Later, you can add your own things and try to add them. So first of all, we say record student info, record grades of students, print grades report, calculate statistics, calculate GPA, calculate CWA. So basically, what I want to do is I'm going to enter in the code like the students, and I'm going to have a list of students and then the grades that they had in a particular certain courses. And then once I run the program, I want it to print reports for me, like, oh, in a nice form, right? In a nice format. And I'm going to calculate, okay, the average or the highest person is this and the lowest person is this. And we're going to calculate GPA and we're going to calculate CWA. We know the formula for CWA. I, for one, don't know the formula for GPA. So I'll leave that out for you. But I'm going to do the CWA. So let's just go ahead and then you create a file. I'm creating a file in week 2 and I'm saying what's the name of this thing? Grading.py, right? So the first thing is that we want to have a record of students, right? So what do we want? We want to have, say, student 1, right? And then you give it the name, the age, right? And those things, okay? So let me just go ahead and do that. So we know we've talked about dictionaries and we know we've talked about lists, right? So if you see in the dictionary here, I recorded a student name, daily, what, right? So okay. So if you've been watching, if you watch this cartoon Naruto, so you're going to use students from the Naruto cartoon to do our exercise tests, right? So let's create a variable called students. So we have many students, so we are going to have a list of students, right? Okay, and each student, you are going to record each student information in a dictionary. Okay, so we're going to record the name. You see how I'm combining everything here, right? So you can combine it in any way you like. We're going to record the name, we're going to record the age, and we're going to record the what do we record? The skills, right? So in student in Naruto, we have they are ninjas. So the skills, each of them have their own skills. So the skills are going to put it in a list, and then we're going to record a list of their skills, right? No, actually, I think the skills we should make it like this. So we're going to make it another dictionary. So if you enter the skill, then you enter like how strong they are in that particular skill, right? So I'm just making a template, and then we're going to enter called their team, right? So they all have teams. So basically, we're gonna then maybe I'm going to copy and paste, comma, comma, right? So that's why I made it like that, so that it will be easy to copy and paste and all of that. All right, so for now, let's take 3 students. So what you can see, what are you seeing here? So what you are seeing here is that we have a dictionary. This is also another dictionary, and the dictionary is in a list, right? So first, let's start name Naruto, right? Maybe he's age 16 years or something, and his skills maybe taijutsu, taijutsu, and then maybe taijutsu maybe 70%, right? And then genjutsu. Maybe 50%, and then ninjutsu, giving maybe 65%, right? So just that, and his team number is maybe team 3 or team 7 or something. Yeah, so we are going to use this template for all of them. Right, so let me just copy these guys here. So copy and paste, guys. Copy and paste is also really good. It helps makes things easy. Maybe it's about Choji, right? His age is 15 years, and no, this guy's got get used to 30%. It's not even. In fact, zero. I've not seen him using get used to before. Right. So let's leave it like that. Okay, team 3. So you see the way I'm just this one. You're just instead of student. Let me just make it ninjas. Right. So then I'm just using this to demonstrate what we are about to do to you. To do here. So just team 8 or something, and then just take this guy. Right. So what do we have here? We have a list of dictionaries, right? So if if you have a list, you can look through it. So if I say for person in, so I am storing this variable at ninjas. So I'll go ahead and say for ninja in ninjas. All right. If I say print ninja, okay. Now I can open my terminal. Since it's week 2, so I'm trying to run the grading.py. So if I say Python 3, if you're using Windows, you just have to say Python and you're gone. You see, so it's printing like each of them, right? So you can have a list of dictionaries. You can have dictionaries. Inside a dictionary, we'll have a list. I mean, all of those things, right? So we want to write a simple program here that will go through the list and it will add their skills. So the marks they have for their skills here, to add all of them, and then it will find the average. Okay. So for each person, we want to calculate the sum of their skills. So for Ninja in Ninja, so that means easy as we go through. So first of all, to give us one dictionary. So this Ninja variable is always one dictionary, right? So what we want to do is we want to print something like we want to calculate for each of them. We want to calculate the sum of this, and then we'll print it out. Okay, so that's what we want to do. So in that case, how do we do that? Well, the way we do that is so if you have a dictionary, right? So when we printed the Ninja dictionary, you see that it printed the dictionary, and then the skills itself is also a dictionary, right? So if I print Ninja of skill, right, let's do that and see what happens. So I'll clear this and then run again. You see it will print the skills. The same way if I print Ninja of name, to print the names. If I print Ninja of team, to print the teams, right? So that's how this thing works, right? If I say age, print the age. All right. So what's next? So what I want to do is I want to do something like this. I want to let me just use this one to demonstrate. So you can do this, and you can use this to say what you want to do. So I want to print the name, right? And I'll the name of the ninja, and then I'll put this what do we call it, equal to signs under it, under the name. And then I want to print for now, let's make it simple, something like name, and then I'll put the name there, and I want to print the age, and I'll put the age there, and I want to print the team, I put the team there, and the last thing I want to print is the skills total, right? Skills total. Okay, so basically that's what we're gonna do here. So we can start by saying print, right? So we use the F string. It's always simple to use that. Then name, and then we print the ninja of the name. So let's copy and paste, and print age, and ninja of age. And print team, and of team, and I'll print skills total, and then ninja of skills. So for now, let's leave it like that. So when I run this, you see, so it's not looking nice. So after for each ninja, let's print. When I just say print, it will print an empty line. So let's just use and see what I'm talking about. All right. So name Naruto. You see that? Good, good. So what we really the real challenge here is to find the sum of the this. So when you have a dictionary, right? As we've already said, this is the keys and these are the values. So let me go back here to demonstrate. So what if I just want the keys? Let's print. If I say student here dot keys, so let me run this. To give me only the keys. In the same way, if I say student of values, to give me only the values, right? That's this one, and this one in something that looks like a list. Okay. So what we want to do is that first of all, let's calculate the skills total. Let's put it in a nice variable here. And so then we say skills total. All right. So here what I want is, where will I get the skills? The skills is stored in the dictionary Ninja. The skills, okay. And if I say dot values, it will give me the values. These ones, I mean the values. These are the values. So if I say dot values, and I do this, I don't remember to bring. Don't forget to bring the. But it's going to give me just the values, right? And it's going to give me them to me in the form of a list. Now there's a function called sum, that if you have a list of numbers and you call it with that function sum, it will sum all the numbers in there for you, right? So what we are doing here is that we are using the ninja skills dot values to get only the values, right? So let me leave it like this and print for you to see. We are using to get only the values, right? That's only, you can see that for each of them you are getting only the values. And then once we get the values, we are going to sum the values. So sum. So if you have a list, right, as we did list here, if I have a list of numbers, right, numbers 1, 2, then I can sum the numbers like this. Sum into brackets numbers. Sum is a function that will sum the numbers, right? So print. If I run Python 3 list.py, we're going to sum all these numbers for us. Let me see, we get 45. Okay, so that's this part. Okay, so that's what we are going to do with this guy. So there's the ninja of skills will only give us the dictionary, and then when we say dot values, to get at the values of the dictionary, and then we sum it, right? Simple. So when I run grading.py, see, we have the name, and now we're having a sum of that skills. Okay, good. So this is a demonstration of so let me change up this file name to ninja.py, and now let's go on to the grading.py. So basically with the grading.py, I just want to use a normal school system. So we have students, right? In school we have students, as we've already discussed that's what we want to do. And in the students, each of the students have their name. So this one we just call them student 1, and we have their age, right? 24. Let's assume these are university students. And then they have their class, or the class, or maybe core course, maybe medicine, or let me not use medicine, uh, computer science. Okay, and then the level. Let's forget that part. So let's just say, and then now we have the marks. Okay, so here what we want to do is we want to create another dictionary that will say, oh, maybe the subject, the date, maybe Python programming, right? And then it's going to say the marks they got, so maybe 80. And then network programming, a network admin, it had 79. And then maybe internet, it had 89. And maybe, all those courses, and then maybe calculus, maybe they had 78. Then algebra, maybe they had maybe they are good at algebra, so they had 90. Right, so we leave it there. We are going to do this for, let's do this for, say, let's assume that we have 3 students in the class. Right, so student 2, student 2, student 3. Okay, so in this case, we are storing the student data in a variable. So something like this. So as we've already said, the first thing we want to calculate, one of the things we want to calculate is, now we know how to record the info, we know how to record grades of students. So what we want to do is we want to print grade reports. So for each student, we want to print their name, their age. We know they are all doing computer science. They want to print their marks. So we say, maybe this person did Python and this is the marks he had. This person did network and this is the marks. This that, right? Yeah. So that's what we want to do for now. So we're going to say for student in student, or we can just say for S in student. This one is a variable, so you can name it anything. Right? We're going to print name. So just like the same thing we did over there. Age. Course. Right. So S of name. S. And you realize I'm using single quotes here because I'm already using double quotes on the outside. So that's the advantage here. Right. S of course. So if I just print that one, grading.py. So let's bring another print here. So leave a line, right? So name student what. So I like to print something. I like to bring another print here. Then you see how it works, right? So this looks much more neater, you know. And the rest, run it again. Good. Now the next thing after this, the next thing we want to do after this step is to now you print what do we even call this? We are going to print grade report 4, and then the name of the student will come, right? So we need not forget to print the S of name. We'll leave a print here again. So say the week 2. So Python 3 grading. Alright, so then I have grade report for student 1, grade report for student 2, grade report for student 3. Now the next thing we want to do is we want to say print, right? We are going to have something like course, and then we'll leave some space. Then we're going to say max, right? And since we are doing that, so we are going to put some equal to signs there, leave some space. Cool. So the next thing is, now you see that the marks of the student is in a dictionary. So we want to go through the values of we want to go through the whole dictionary. So if you remember, you can go through you can look through a dictionary for key comma value, right? In S of max dot items, remember? So as we discussed here, the dot items will give you the key and the value. So the key on the left and the value on the right. So we know that the key is the course and then the value is the marks, right? So we are going to just do print, and then we want to print key, that's the course, right? So instead of doing key value, the course, let me say subject, and then marks. And then we leave some space, probably the same space we leave here. So we leave that same space. I just copied and pasted the space. Marks, or let me say mark. Okay. So now Python 3 grading, right? So you can see what is going on. So what is going on? So we have grade report for student 1, and then we put Python. But as you can see, this one is not in line with this one, right? Right. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to take all of this. I'm going to create a function called def print underscore grade report, right? And with this function is going to take as input the students. So I'm going to copy all of these things that we've done here. I'm going to paste to this function. So you have to make sure that the alignment is correct. Anyway, so all of these things have to come under this one. So if I select everything and do control, right? Control, and then the forward square bracket, the right square bracket. Yeah. So you see how everything is aligned here. That's how it should be, or else you get errors. So clear. Now if I run, nothing happens, right? That's because now I have it inside a function. So for something to happen, I have to call the function print grade report, and I have to pass in the student variable. Remember, there's a student variable we've created over here, right? So you have to pass it to the function. And then now everything is printing fine. Right. So it's printing fine, just that it's printing just that the alignment is bad. So there are some things you can do to make the alignment good, but yeah. So you realize that now we are writing the function, we are writing everything in functions. Okay, so the next thing we are supposed to do is calculate. First of all, let's calculate the CW. All right. No, instead of the CW, let's just calculate the sum, the mean. Right. So let's just calculate the mean first. So calculate. So mean. So we create a variable here called mean equals 0 at first. And how do you calculate the mean? You calculate the mean by adding so calculate the mean this way. S of max dot values, right? So remember what this means, and then we say sum. If you say sum, that will add everything for you, but we have another one called average, right? And average. So sum, right? So the mean is the sum of everything divided by the length. So again, we get the values. So what we're going to do is we can say you can have a variable called scores. In that variable, we create this variable here, and so the mean will be the sum of the scores, right, divided by the length of the scores. Then we'll print I want to print it under this one. So mean scores is, and then we say mean, right? So if I open here, and then don't forget, I'll just do another print here. So it doesn't, nothing is coming, and I'm sure you know why. Because again, if you create a function, you need to be able to use it, you need to call it. All right. So we pass the student variable. In this case, we didn't return anything from the function, but that's fine. All right, so not bad. Okay, now to do things like CWA and GPA, those kind of things, I think I'll leave the GPA for you, but I'll do the CWA. So over here, to do the CWA, you need the credit hours and then the marks, right, that the person has. Okay, so first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to write a function called calculate CWA. And this function will take in the marks of the student and it will give us what? The CWA. So for now, let's just put pass there, which means that it's not returning. Let's return 0. So let me even create a function called def cal. So you see all the things we've done here in that calculate mean. So the mean also need the max, right? Now so we can just copy this guy, come and paste him here. So you see, then we return the mean. So here now there's no need for x.max. So we're just going to pass in max.values. So the max I'm talking about is this max, right? So you see that in a bit. So what I mean is the mean is equal to calculate mean, right? And then into bracket we give it the max, right? So what is happening here is that for each student is going to pass just the max into this function, and then we are going to take the max and use that to calculate the mean. So we are going to do the same thing for the CWA. And I'm even going to create a function called print max. So you see, it makes things kind of, and then we're going to take the max. So what is going to happen is we're going to pass this max and then it's going to print it. So it's basically going to copy and paste this in there, right? Make sure the alignment is correct. So to just say max, right? Print max. I'm going to take the max, sorry, x of max. So we all know the x of max looks something like this. So basically, you see now this function is becoming neat and much more neater and much more neat and much more neat. So we're going to bring all of this here. Right. So everything is going to come here like this. So we have the function that prints the max, and then we have the function that print mean score is mean what. Okay. So even here we don't need this f here because we are not using any variable computations in there. So with this one we'll come and deal with how to make it nice later. But for now, so now that I've done this, if I run grading.py again, everything is working fine, right? Now the last thing we need to do is and here we want to print something like print CWA is, and then we'll say CWA. So let's create a function called a variable called CWA, and then we'll call calculate CWA, and then right, straightforward. But for now, calculate CWA is returning 0, so we are not really implementing very well. So your main score is your CWA is. So now we know to calculate the CWA, we need to also know the students, what do you call it? We need to also know their so here what we're going to do is we need to know the marks. So let's change the data structure a bit, the marks, and we also need to know the credit hours, right? So let me just say hours. So you see, we have a dictionary. We have a dictionary in a dictionary in a dictionary in a dictionary, right? You can mix and match them anyhow you like. It doesn't matter. And then hours. I make it 2. Copy and paste. Guys, copy and paste. That's a legend. All right, so let's do the same things here. Right, and forget the comma, and the comma, and the comma, and the same things here. If we miss anything here, we miss a comma here. So usually if there's something wrong, the whole thing turns red, and you know that something is messed up somewhere. And marks. Yeah. Yep. Now everything is okay. So that means that some of the things we've done so far will not work again because we've changed the way the data is. So if I clear this and I try to run, we're going to get some errors, right? So basically what we need to change is, here we say we get the scores, the marks.value, right? But now the values are dictionaries. And inside the dictionaries, we have mark. Let me just make it mark. We have hours, right? So that means we need to change our strategy a bit. So first of all, what we need to do is we need to change our strategy here. Now for each marks, you see you have the mark and the hour, so we can't just say mark.values that to give us the whole dictionary, and you can't add dictionary with a dictionary. That's why we're getting the error. Unsupported operand types for plus, int, and dict, right? So here it says you are trying to add an integer in a dictionary, so it doesn't make sense. So that's what we don't want to do. So let's clear what we have here already. So what we want to do is that we want to go through these ones one by one, and for each of the time we go through it, we pick the mark, and then we add it. So let me see. First of all, we start with mean is equal to, we start with sum is equal to 0. No, sum, there's already something called a function called sum. So let's just say s is equal to 0, right? Let's say for uh, mark in max dot, I just want the values, right? I don't care about this, so I just say values, right? So I say s plus equal to mark. Now you remember, if I'm going through each of these one by one and I'm getting this, so the mark variable represents one of these. So that means in the mark variable I can get this guy, right? Mark. So mark of mark. Right. And so what will happen is that we're going to end up adding all of this, all of them. But to calculate the CW, I think it's, you don't just add, you multiply this by this and this by this and this by this and this by this and this by this, and then you're going to divide by the sum of the hours, right? So it's going to be s times mark of hours, right? So what we are doing is we are multiplying the mark and the hours, right? And then let's create another variable called age. So we also say age plus equals, and then we are saying mark of hours. So what are we doing here? So what we are doing here is that we've created a variable, two variables. The first one is s, the first one is age. We are using the s to store the sum of each of the marks by the hours, right? So that means what is going to happen is that for the first mark, so we're going to have 90 times 3, right? And then we're going to have plus all of them, plus the next one, we're going to have 97 times 2, right? Times 2, right? So it's going to add these ones in the variable. That's what this variable is storing, right? So first of all, so let's say when we get this initial variable, it's going to multiply the mark and the hours, and it's going to store them in the s, and then it's going to only store the hours in the age, right? It's going to add it to the age, right? So we already understand this kind of logic. And then the mean is s divided by age, right? And then we return the mean. Oh man, no. So this, what we've done here is the CWA. So let me just copy it and paste here. So what we've done is the CWA. For the mean, we don't need to multiply. We just want the mean, right? So we just want to sum this. And instead of here, we just do plus equals 1. That'll give us a mean. So it's kind of the same as the CWA. Looks good. So CWA and this looks good. So oh yeah, so if I go around here and I change this to 1, this to 3, so let me make it 3, 2, 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, guys. And this is basically most of the things I need to write nice programs. You just need to understand, oh okay, this is the data I have, and this is how it looks like, and This is what I'm going to do with it. So so what have we done here? We have our main function that we are calling is a print grade report, but inside that we are calling other functions, right? And the way if we are to copy and paste all of this into this one code, this one will become one big code to look weird, but with this it's looking kind of cute and cool. Yeah, so that's it. And right now we are storing the variable, the data here in a student's variable, right? In a student variable. So which means that if say we are done with everything, we want to we can store the data somewhere else instead of the code. Inside the code we can store it in a certain file, right? And so we'll look into that next week. For now, I think this will be the end of this week. Yeah. So thank you. Just practice and try to do more. So don't forget that you can also find a lot of stuff on the internet. It's a real Python. It's a place called Real Python. So if you go to Real Python, you know you have lots of tutorials here. So I recommend this to you. After going through this one, go and do the Real Python tutorials. Usually they say it's paid, but most of them are free actually. So if I see numbers in Python, it has a lots of things, here and there. So, and don't hesitate to ask any questions. For now, I'll end here. Thank you. So before I end, also, so the exercise for next week will be the full, for this week will be the full ATM simulator, right? So write a function, write a code to simulate the ATM. So it will ask, first of all, when the code is running, to ask the user the PIN code, and then when the PIN code is correct, it will check the balance. It will ask, do you want to check your balance or do you want to withdraw cash? And based on whatever happened, yeah. So just play around with this stuff, and for now we're just trying to we are warming up. This is actually warm up, okay? So all the best.